Hi, I'm Justin from Ajar Productions. I'm going to take a few minutes to show you some of the really awesome stuff that people are making with in5. In5 takes InDesign content and exports it to HTML5. With that, you can put it directly to the web. You can make a web app. I'll show you examples of that in this video. Or you can make a mobile app. Companies of all shapes and sizes are using in5 to create all kinds of interactive content from InDesign without coding. Now let's take a look at some really cool examples of things that people have created with in5. Here's Allegheny Magazine from winter 2014. This is the first version of the digital magazine that art director Penny Drexel created with in5. This is in a tall scrolling format. It's kind of neat how she blends the first two pages together. You can see already on this table of contents page, there's an interactive bit that gets nicely tucked away. So if we don't care about that information, it's not taking up space, but if we want to check it out, we can. I'm just going to scroll down and show you some of the content in this beautifully designed magazine. And here we have another example of content that is nicely tucked in. Where this would otherwise take 5 or 6 pages in the printed magazine, it's all comparable on one page in the digital version. And one other thing to note is that this document is all live text. So it's wonderfully SEO friendly. Search engines can easily find it. And it has all these nice interactive pieces throughout. Now it's just going to scroll down a bit further and show you that because this is interactive HTML, you can also embed things. So here there is a multimedia object embedded inside the page, and this is a keynote address. So you can play the keynote right inside this page. And this was all done directly from InDesign and exported with in5. Now let's take a look at one of Penny's newer catalogs. This is from a year later, and she's now divided the pages so they're viewed separately, and they're nice and tall, so there's all this content, and she's got navigation built at the top and the bottom of the page. It still has these beautiful interactive bits of content. Now Penny's also taken advantage of the built-in social sharing. So this is just a box you check in the in5 dialog. You don't have to custom code this. So your readers can easily just click a button and share your content right to social media. Now let's look at this example from digital designer Dan Marcolina. Dan was a magician, and this really shows in his content. I'll just flip through some of the pages and show you some of this neat interactivity. This animation was created using the Overlays panel in InDesign, as was this one. Now let's take a look at an example of a VA annual report done by David Jones. You can see this is a completely different design, similar digital magazine as say like the Allegheny College magazine, but it has its own unique design. This has a custom navigation that David built in InDesign, and of course this all works in the output. Let's take a look at an example from a designer named Soraya. This is a piece of self-promotion. It's really quite neat. You click on the next page and it plays an animation and immediately starts playing a video, and she begins introducing herself. And on the next page, she has this animation built in that nicely loops, and it's a great transition from the video, introduces you to these different options on the page. So you can click through and navigate. And of course, she has this different type of overlaid content. Just beautifully designed. Let's take a look at one of her other examples. This is a design for a hotel. Now if I click through the pages, you can see all the nice animations that are built to fade in on each page. This is of course also built into InDesign. You have a nice animations panel that makes it really easy to add animations from presets. One more thing to mention, that there is a scrolling frame. This is another thing you can take advantage of with in5. And in another design, I'll show you a landing page for a Spanish language educational journal. This is really neat because this landing page has multiple issues, and each issue has specific versions for different devices. So let's take a look at the PC version first, and you can see what that design looks like. And here's one of those scrolling frames that I mentioned. And they have a nice usage guide at the beginning. So this page has a custom navigation at the bottom, and it also uses the default navigation from in5 with these arrows on the right and left, which you can turn on with the checkbox. Let's take a look at this same magazine, but in the iPad specific version. So I'm going to switch over to the iPad simulator. I'll click on the iPad icon, and you'll see what we get. It is installation instructions. Now these happen to be in Spanish. The default instructions that automatically load with in5 when you export a web app are in English, but in this case, the designer has customized them for their audience in Spanish. And it's telling you how to save this app. So I'll go up here and click Add to Home Screen, and followed up by clicking Add. And now this custom icon has gone on my home screen, and I can click it just like it's an app. Now, from my standpoint as the reader, I'm using an app. It's a fully branded experience, but this designer did not have to go through the App Store. They didn't have to get a signing certificate. They didn't have to submit it to Apple. They just put it on their web page, and it loads like an app once the user saves it to their home screen. This concept is called a web app, and it's really handy, and it can be exported directly from in5 without any work. Now let's take a look at another magazine here. This is a beautiful music magazine. I don't know if you can see here, but this is a nice Star Wars graphic, and there are stars twinkling in the background. And I want to show you something about this navigation. So you might notice on some of the other tall pages that have this navigation that the navigation changes position if you have these tall pages like this. So as the height of the page changes, the placement of the navigation moves so that it's in the middle of the page. And that's maybe one other thing to mention, that your pages can be all different sizes with in5. Now this designer wanted their buttons to stay up at the top when you scrolled. So you can see as I scroll down the page, the buttons stay where they are. This is a custom bit of CSS. They attach it on the export, and it stays there every time they export this document. So here I'm on another page. I'll scroll down. You can see the buttons stay right where they are. So this designer has really taken advantage of the ability to easily customize in5 to their particular needs. So here I want to show you there's an example of an app in the App Store. There's several ways to create an app from in5 content. You can use PhoneGap Build, which is wonderful. You can use the Baker Framework. Both of those are basically free options, and then there are also premium options available. You can find more about those on the Ajar Productions website. So now let's look at another multi-issue magazine. They have a landing page with all the thumbnails, and when you click on one of them, you see one of these magazines. You can see there's a nice animated image on this. They have this image which stays here no matter what, tells you that you can download this in the Apple App Store or Google Play. Both are available. And you can also read this online. That is part of the flexibility of creating HTML. You can easily convert it into all these different formats. And another multi-issue one available in the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, and available online. And let's look at the version online. And you can see this one has a really neat intro animation. So the text comes in and colors in the jerseys and the background, and really builds on itself. So as you can see, there's a huge variety in what you can create, how it looks, how it functions, all building in InDesign and exporting with in5. You can download a free trial of in5 right now and get started creating digital publications. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Thanks for watching.